Chapter 1155 might have just proved it. Rox D. Xebec isn't just a ghost from the past. He might be the original blueprint for the entire pirate era. From Blackbeard to Dragon, from Eustass Kid to even Buggy. Rox's influence is everywhere. Let's break down how this madman shaped the pirate world through his crew, his ideology, and his absolute chaos. The way Rox D. Xebec fights isn't elegant, it's explosive. In chapter 1155, we finally see it. His sword isn't a rapier or a katana. It's wielded like a cannon, like a warhammer in motion. Each swing lands like a siege weapon, not for precision, for destruction. Now here's the twist. That fighting style didn't die with Rox. It lives on, in Loki, and even in Big Mom. Loki's weapon, Ragnir, moves like a cannonball. It conjures lightning, slams, and shatters, just like Rox. And Big Mom? Her attack, Ikaku Sovereignty, is almost a direct echo. Just in case you forgot, Ikaku Sovereignty is a devastating air pressure shockwave unleashed by Big Mom using Napoleon as a battering weapon. When Big Mom and Kaido performed a combined version of it in Wano, the blast split the heavens, exactly the kind of power Rox was famous for. Both Big Mom and Kaido were members of Rox's crew. Their signature technique being hammer-style pressure burst is no coincidence, it's legacy. Ikaku Sovereignty is all about overwhelming pressure, and it's used by not one, but two of Rox's alumni. If this is a coincidence, I doubt it. It feels like a direct evolution of Rox's hammer-style swordsmanship. Even Kaido's club swings have the same brutal momentum. And now, Loki is following that same path, using Ragnir in the same way, shaping him as the next heir to that raw blood force style. So when you see Rox's swing, when we finally get to see Loki jump in, or when you see Big Mom blow craters into the air, you're not just watching power. You're watching a fighting legacy, forged in the era of Rox D. Xebec. Chapter 1155 just flipped history on its head. Rox didn't just invade God Valley. He kidnapped 5 kings and made it all the way into Imu's flower room. This is the sacred chamber of the hidden god of the One Piece world. That's not just infiltration, that's a declaration of war on the very concept of control. This is considered the most secure place in the world, only accessible to the 5 elders and Imu themselves. If Rox physically entered this space, it's arguably the boldest infiltration feat in One Piece history, more than Enies Lobby, more than Marineford. Now think about what that means. Either Imu didn't notice Rox was there, or worse, he did, and he wasn't worried. That's the scary part. Rox is the most dangerous pirate in the world, and Imu didn't even flinch. This new reveal places Rox not just as a pirate warlord, but a geopolitical threat. No pirate in the current era would dare kidnap 5 kings during a revelry. Even Blackbeard moves in the shadows, but Rox, he went straight for the heads of nations. It was personal, it was political, it was psychological warfare. Let's talk about Harold. This man jumps off Mary Joa. Not falls, jumps. That's a minimum of 10,000 meters, 33,000 feet in free fall. Harold tanks it like a god. The only other character we've seen survive something like that is Kaido, and he's the literal strongest creature. That means Harold might not just be strong, he might be legend here. Actually, scratch that, the son of Harold, Loki, tanked a similar fall as a newborn baby. The clash between Rox and Harold levels a 5-kilometer radius. This is likely a Conqueror's Haki class, an advanced Conqueror's Haki class, akin to Divine Departure or Ikkaku Sovereignty. In comparison, Luffy vs Kaido split the sky. Whitebeard vs Shanks caused tremors across the sea. And we all know about the famous Whitebeard vs Roger clash that also split the sky. A 5-kilometer destruction zone is a top tier feat, possibly the largest on-land clash impact we've seen. That's not just strength, that's ancient weapon level impact. Just like Garp's Galaxy impact, just like Luffy's Bajarine gun. That tells us everything. Rox wasn't just fighting for fun, he was fighting for dominance. In Harold, he was strong enough to match it. In one moment, Rox kidnaps royalty, infiltrates the holiest place in the world, and clashes with a warrior god so strong he jumps off heaven itself. This wasn't just a chapter, it was the moment the world remembered who started this age of chaos. When you finally see Rox Xebec in chapter 1155, it's like deja vu. Not only because the striking resemblance to Blackbeard, it feels familiar because the pirate world has been echoing his image ever since the era he vanished. Rox's bounty poster is chaotic. Wide grin, exaggerated facial features, wild untamed hair. Compare that to Buggy's current Yonko poster. Same grin, same chaotic clown energy. That bounty poster looks like Buggy got his whole aesthetic from Rox. The grin, the flair, the showmanship. It's not just clown behavior, it's Rox's behavior. Eustass Kid, he's not just inspired by punk, he's inspired by Rox. They both have the spiked hair, the jagged fashion, and the dark punk metal armor style. Kid's entire vibe, pure offense, don't care attitude, mirrors what we now know and see in Rox. Even his aura feels like Kid, rage, dominance, rebellion. You could slap Rox's face onto Kid's frame and it would still make sense. Oda is known for recycling iconic pirate archetypes. Roger's smile shows up in Ace and Luffy. Shanks' coat echoes Rayleigh's. It's not a stretch to think that Rox's wild aesthetic was intentionally seeded into the later generation pirates to show his symbolic reach. That's what makes Rox Xebec terrifying. Even dead, his image lives on in the next generation. He's like a myth that never left, a design stamped onto the DNA of chaos. Whether it's Buggy's clown show, or Blackbeard following in his father's footsteps, or Kid's metal madness, you're not just seeing pirates, you're seeing reflections of the original monster, Rox Xebec. Some pirates run from the Navy, others challenge them in desperation. But Rox Xebec was on site with the world government from day one. No build up, no warning, just straight violence. Rox attacked and looted a world government battleship. This mirrors Blackbeard stealing the Rocky port supplies, and even Dragon, who was known for striking government facilities directly. Rox didn't just beat this Navy battleship, he robbed it, and he emptied it like a treasure chest. This was a full-scale declaration of war. The Gate of Justice is the colossal gateway to Enies Lobby, Marineford, and Impel Down, the three pillars of the government's rule over the law, force, and punishment. The only known people to manipulate or damage it are Spandam through the Buster Call system, Whitebeard who bent iron at Marineford, but we learn Rox destroyed it. Whitebeard in his old age could bend only a smaller iron wall near Marineford, but Rox destroyed the real thing, the Gate of Justice itself. The gate is tied to the concept of absolute order. It only opens for authorized ships and symbolizes the tight grip the government has over movement and military action. Rox blowing it up sends a very specific message. Your system means nothing to me. To destroy the Gate of Justice is to say, I don't care about your laws. I don't care about your fleets. I go wherever I want and I take whatever I want. That's Rox. The Dragon attacks government installations silently and with precision. Blackbeard infiltrates and takes what he needs methodically. But Rox, he charges in like a cannonball and leaves nothing behind but smoke. Dragon is the revolutionary, Blackbeard is the opportunist, but Rox is the chaotic hurricane that blew through the government before either of them even existed. For most pirates, the world government is a nightmare. For Rox D. Xebec, it was just another battlefield. Before Foxy made it a gag, and Luffy turned it into a game, Rox D. Xebec turned the Davy Backfight into a ritual of destruction. 3 rounds, no rules, only pain and submission. Round 1, the ship. Round 1 wasn't a tug of war or some silly race. Rox started by blowing up his opponent's ship. No warning, no hesitation. He didn't win the round. He erased the other team's existence. The second row, the classic ball grab game, Rox didn't play that. He decapitated a pirate mid-match and claimed their head as the ball. It wasn't strategy, it was psychological warfare. Every round was a message. Join me or die like this. Round 3, the so-called final match, was a boxing ring soaked in blood. Rox stepped in and just laughed while breaking his opponent apart, blow by blow. No honor, no technique, just raw, violent dominance. That's how he built his crew, not by offering dreams like Roger, not through loyalty like Luffy. Rox didn't ask anyone to join, he beat them until they submitted, or he left their bodies behind. This wasn't just a game, it was a blood pact. The Davy Backfight lives on, but twisted. Foxy made it a farce, Luffy made it playful. But Rox, he made it terrifying, a battlefield where the strongest monsters in history were forged, not invited. In the hands of Rox D. Xebec, the Davy Backfight was a crucible. If you survived, you joined the most savage pirate crew the world had ever seen. And if you didn't, you were just another lesson carved into the legend of Rox. There's a moment in chapter 1155 that feels almost too familiar. Rox D. Xebec, standing face to face with King Harold, offers him a seat at his table, an invitation wrapped in chaos, ambition, and certainty. But it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. The speech It sounded something straight from Blackbeard's mouth. When Ace finally caught up to Blackbeard, Blackbeard didn't start fighting immediately. He made an offer. Join me. We'll reshape the world. You're too strong to waste your life. Ace refused. We all know what happened next. Rox gives Harold that same look, that same tone. He tells him the world is theirs to take, that it's not about honor, it's about will. He invites Harold to join him, not out of desperation, but out of destiny. Now Blackbeard's conversation with Kuzan is quiet, philosophical, and heavy. It's not about power, it's about vision. Rox does the same, speaks of purpose, not chaos, while standing in the middle of destruction. This isn't just a madman ranting, it's a recruiter of gods. Rox looks at Harold, the man who jumped from heaven after trying to kill him, and instead of fear, he offers him a seat beside him. Just like Blackbeard looked at Kuzan, just like he looked at Ace. The dreams of pirates never die. That's Blackbeard's philosophy. Rox seems to carry that same energy. He doesn't care who stands in his way. He states the nature of people never change. He only cares if you're willing to rewrite the world with him. Rox wasn't just building a crew, he was building a new world order. And Harold, that was his Ace moment, his Koozai moment. A man being asked to choose between the world he knew and the chaos ahead. Rox didn't ask Harold to kneel. He offered him the keys to a new world, the same way Blackbeard has always done. The difference is, Rox said it first. They say legends die, but what if they just mutate? Rox D. Xebec's crew might be gone, but his legacy could still be sailing across the seas in the blood of the next generation. Let's start with Don Marlin. Not much is known about him, but we can assume that he was cold, calculated, and ran his ship like a mafia empire. Sound familiar? Capone Bege might not just act like him. He might be his son. Both are mobsters. Both are from the West Blue, and both have similar square jawlines and stoic behavior. Next, the wild card, Weevil. Everyone laughed at the idea he was Whitebeard's son. But what if that rumor isn't completely wrong? If Stussy, the clone of Mad's top assassin, was involved, suddenly Weevil becomes a genetically engineered weapon of legacy. Weevil's strength is real. He destroyed 16 pirate crews allied with Whitebeard. His mental state is childlike, possibly a defect of being a clone. Stussy worked with Vegapunk and Mans, the same people capable of making seraphims. Now here's a crazy one. What if Eustass Kid's right-hand man, Killer, is Shiki's son? Think about it. Same explosive temper. Same love for flashy destruction. Both dual-wield swords. Both have the similar golden lion hair. Their auras scream loose cannon warlord energy. Then there's Wang Shi, once known as the Prophet of the Pirates, a man who ruled Pirate Island before Blackbeard. He was unhinged, religious. Sound familiar? Caribou is constantly praying to some lord and might have inherited more than just slime. And what about Gansui, the pirate smuggler? Rumored to operate before Doflamingo, he might have been the origin of the underworld, before the brokers and the warlords, the one who passed down the shadow game to Crocodile, Dofi, and beyond. There's no canon confirmation, but his name surfaces in whispers connected to smuggling, weapons trafficking, and the dark port cities now used by Yonko. Whether by blood or by ideology, Rox's crew might have birthed the next generation, not through love, but through war, not as parents, but as echoes of destruction. Don't look for gravestones. Look at the new era. Look at the chaos in Capone's castle, the fury in Kid's eyes, the madness in Weevil's grin. These aren't coincidences. These are the children birthed by Rox's era. And they're out there. Rox D. Xebec may have assembled the strongest pirate crew in history. But here's the truth. None of them gave a damn if he died. Not one. It wasn't a family. It wasn't a crew. It was a powder keg. A crew of monsters only held together by the threat of something worse. Rox himself. When Roger died, the seas wept. When Rox died, his own crew just moved on like nothing happened because they were never his and he was never theirs. But when it crashes, they'll already be swimming towards the next ship. The truth is, Rox didn't need loyalty. He didn't want it. He ruled with fear, force, and fire. And when he finally fell, his crew just scattered into the world like shattered pieces of a god. Now let's talk about Loki. Loki swings like rocks. He moves like rocks. But deep down, he's not him. Throughout chapter 1155, it's implied Loki is searching for something. Meaning, direction, maybe even belonging. As a prince, he had power. As a fighter, he had strength. But emotionally, he's lost. And that's where Luffy comes in, because if there's one thing Luffy does better than anyone else, it's fill the void in people's hearts. That's how he got Robin, Brook, Jinbei, Law. Loki might be next. Blackbeard recruited San Juan Wolf, a literal giant with the giant fruit, locked away and impaled now, not out of compassion, but pure power stacking. If Loki joins Luffy, it mirrors that, but with a soulful twist, where Blackbeard recruited monsters for domination, Luffy recruits hearts for freedom, and Loki, the prince molded by Rox's legacy, might finally find peace under the Straw Hat banner. Loki represents the fire Rox started, but Luffy might be the one who finally gives that fire a purpose, a giant forged in war. Choosing to sail with the one pirate who doesn't conquer, he liberates. And if this happened, if Loki becomes a Straw Hat, then Rox D. Xebec's final legacy won't be destruction. It'll be redemption. Before we go, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. I appreciate everything you guys do. It's Snowface, the face of this channel. See you in the next one.